Kristen. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon.
Yeah. Had it on mute over there for a second.
Oh, you did. So anything that you would like to announce before we start in?
Let's see. What do I have to announce? You can find my work at www.simonforster.com, and you can see all the different types of things that I do. I'm currently, at the moment, investing a lot of time in workshops and webinars, on different subjects. You can also have a look at my YouTube channel, which is Simon Forster as well. And just recently, I've started a series where I briefly talk about the different planetary archetypes and how they are understood through evolutionary astrology. So as an example, with Neptune, the video is called The Path to Spiritualization, and it basically encourages you to understand that when you're looking at Neptune in your chart, you're looking at the sign that's ruling your 12th house, you're looking at where Neptune is in your chart, and of course wherever Pisces is ruling the house, and that kind of collection together gives you an understanding of how you find the ultimate meaning in your life and where you're actually recognizing it. So I've done Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune, and next is going to come Jupiter and Saturn. So, yeah, and then there's, of course, loads of other videos out there as well.
Awesome. Yep. Thank you for all that you do and offer in this world of EA. So appreciate it, and looking forward to this new series today as well. So we have done this series before. It's been years. I remember I believe, with Deva and with Aries. This show has been going, I believe, for almost 15 years. So it's been many years, though, and I've been getting requests for this. And Simon, we did a series as well, looking at the archetypes' relationship to each other, is basically what we were doing, right? In the past. So I just feel that you have such a great foundation and depth of just going through the archetypes and just discussing how they blend, how they present themselves, how they manifest. Also, of course, we'll discuss how some of these things manifest in different evolutionary states, and so I'm really looking forward to this series.
Yes, me too. I think I like the way that you shared that about the knowledge of the archetypes and going over them. To me personally, I feel that if you are somebody that is wanting to learn astrology, and especially evolutionary astrology in a more committed and deeper way, and actually integrate the knowledge into your life, learning the 12 archetypes like back to front is essential. I even joke with my students, I'm like, if I had to call you at 12 o'clock at night and say to you, just off the top of your head, tell me the things of the archetype of Taurus, you need to be able to go blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm like, just learn it, because even when you do the aspects and phases, whenever you go through the different other aspects of the astrology chart-like analysis, you're still applying archetypes to it, So
exactly.
The 12 archetypes, so I feel that repetition is essential, and for me particularly, I always, maybe I've gone off on a bit of a tangent here, I do apologize, but I always feel that the more that you explore the archetypes as you go along, you actually broaden your sense of understanding of what they are. So, that's definitely what's happened for me as I've continuously gone over that.
Well, there's so much to each archetype, and I can tell you after all the years, it's been almost 20 years that I've been doing EA now, it seems like I get more of an understanding of them by the day. There's so much more that's revealed to us, and a lot of it has to do with what we're going through in our lives and the things that we are presented with and how we understand how they manifest for us and how they support or challenge our evolution. And so, everybody has a first house. Everyone has planets in Aries. Everyone has Mars somewhere. So even if you don't have a south node or a north node in the first house, really pay attention to how these Aryan Mars-like qualities are manifesting in your life as it relates to the house that they sit in your chart. And I think everything will come to life to a greater degree, and your degree of understanding as well will expand. So let's jump in. Aries style, right out of the gate. Spring forth.
Okay, so this is kind of how I've planned this the conversation today, and with the rest of the conversation. What I would like to offer, what I would like to teach is for us to, because this is so much about the lunar nodes as well, and so much I feel in souls that are, learning how to understand the astrology, learning how to understand the more abstract perspective and awareness around what the lunar nodes are about. They are very, they can be quite difficult to really grasp for new souls. So the lunar nodes themselves, as I have understood them, as I've digested the material, as I've seen it in my own personal life, the best way that I can explain it is, imagine that you're at a theater, okay, and you're sitting in the seat and you're observing the stage, okay? The observation of the stage itself is the perspective or the direction, okay, in which you will understand the lunar nodes in your life, okay? So it's like you're looking at the stage, and what are you absorbing? What are you seeing? Okay, there's so much richness, there's so much color in the understanding of your lunar nodes in your chart, because to me, I feel that when you're learning Pluto and you're understanding the dynamics of the unconscious desires and the reasons for the lifetime, etc., the nodes personify it. They give a very beautiful color and accent to the nature of what your Pluto is about. Okay, and of course, the nodes themselves are the evolutionary direction. It's the way that you are conditioned. It's the way that your body is going to assimilate things in your life. Okay, and we're gonna get into this over here, but let's come back to the theater. So you're sitting in the seat and you're looking down at the stage, and there are actors. There is the stage format in terms of the types of scenery that has been outlaid, the coloring of the background, and what you're observing is something that is interacting within this environment, so the actors, and then the environment itself. And when you really become sensitive to this here, you begin to recognize that there is this background essence that is really amplifying the story of what the characters are dialoguing about. What are they interacting with? What is their whole scenario about in terms of their connection with each other, if there are two people or more than two people, right? Can you see where I'm going with this? Can you see the color that is beginning to manifest? The backdrop has such a profound essence. Okay, now think of the characters as even, and this is what I need to add here, whenever you're looking at your south node, whenever you're looking at your north node, you always have to look at the planet that is being ruled by the sign. So, for instance, if you're like for today's conversation, we're looking at the south node in Aries or the south node in the first house, right? Then even the south node conjunct Mars, right? And you're looking to Mars in the chart. Wherever Mars is located in your astrology chart, that will give you an extra understanding. And to me, the actors are that ruling planet. Okay, so wherever Mars is in your chart, because we're looking at the south node in Aries. Okay, if your south node's in the first house, but the constellation is Pisces, as an example, you would look to Neptune. Okay, maybe I need to go around the whole zodiac for this now, but you would look to the planet that is being ruled by the sign. So in this case, if the south node is in Aries, you look to Mars. If the south node is in the first house and there's a constellation that's being ruled, like I said, Taurus, that would be Venus, for example. Those are the actors. And what this does is it creates the backdrop as well as your interaction with your life on a very conscious level. So the South Node represents the past dynamics in which the soul has evolved its desires, okay? So if you have South Node in the first house, or South Node in Aries as an example, okay, we have this backdrop, right? You remember the backdrop I spoke about here? The backdrop, the environment. It's like a soul that has experienced an environment or life conditioning where maybe they were raised by just one parent, okay? Why one parent? Because generally Aries correlates to the archetype of, I can do this myself, okay? I can do everything and I can make decisions for myself. I'm very independent. I'm very forward in my approach to things. And so there can be this accent of frequency, this accent of conditioning, this accent of truth that you grew up with, in which you saw, and this is the key element here, what you saw, what you were seeing when you were growing up, what was the environment around, what types of family members and the structure of the family and the types of friends that you would naturally attract to you in your early life that imprinted on your psyche, imprinted on your way of thinking. So, as an example, with this first house South Node, this first house in the South Node in Aries, the soul can experience like being raised by one parent, or you can grow up in a lifetime in which both parents were very strong-willed. You can have the experience. I mean, there's so many examples to play here. You can be raised with one parent being a paramedic or a medic, or worked in the field of emergency. And why would that be the case? Think about it. An expression of Aries energy is very much about in the moment. It's very much about without thinking. It's movement. It's action, orientation. So you would grow up, and let's say in this example, your mom or dad or three of your family members worked in the emergency like as an occupation. Their job and their role will come from a perspective in which they were trained to go, if there's an emergency, right, we get into the vehicle and we're on the scene ASAP, like a paramedic, for example, right? There's adrenaline rushing through there, and their stories will, pass on to you as they share, like, what they did through their week. Oh, yesterday there was a car accident that happened over here, and it took us 3 minutes to get to this place, and we were very lucky that we got there, and we saved this person's life because we were so close. It's like, think about the communication, think about the dialogue, think about the kind of conditioning, what you're hearing in your environment when you see somebody that's in that. And that's kind of this very beautiful expression of the node, right? It's this background stuff that's happening around you that's conditioning you. Okay? Does that kind of like capture your imagination by any chance? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I think of Aries, I think of flight or fight, right?
Yep.
So,
yep.
A past where also, you are emotionally wired with the South Node of the Moon and Aries. You're emotionally wired to be able to respond in that way. Maybe you have lifetimes where you're living on the edge in many ways. I mean, you obviously absolutely have a need, inherent need for freedom and total freedom without limitation. So, I mean, obviously in a real conditioned way, I think of war and I think of military and things like that. Perhaps could play out in that way when somebody has a past where they're going to battle for something, fighting for something, right? Yep.
Exactly. And just to kind of like, amplify what you're sharing over there, South Node in Aries, South Node in the first house, right? You've been exposed and part of life dynamics, being conditioned around seeing what freedom is all about, right? And being able to, maybe you were an only child and you had the opportunity to see very independent parents that followed their dreams, and they were able to follow their dreams because they had that freedom and they encouraged you to do that. Or you grew up, right?
Mm-hmm, and I love that.
right?
I can share something here, too.
Yeah.
In that I have a 10th house Aries moon, and when you think of father, 10th house oftentimes, or at least the structure of your family life. But and my dad, every end of the year, every year, sometime between Christmas and New Year's, he would sit us all down at the dinner table, and everyone had a little tablet out in front of him, and he wanted us all to write down our goals for the years, for the year. And it was just so Aries and Capricorn together, right? The father instilling this, let's plan for the future and take charge of your life. It was just, of course, some of them he wanted to have some influence there, right? So that was also taking place. But I, as much as I've shared that I grew up in a very patriarchal family, I would say religious, reflection of my own soul trying to hide.
Right.
I would say that was the one thing that I feel, at least as it relates to him. My mom was just this tender, loving spirit. But with respect to him, because he was extremely strict and hardcore. But I really appreciated that, and it wasn't just once a year. He would check in with us as well, and I think it really set me up well, for the years that followed, because it just became an instinct then of mine. So if you have that South Node in the first or South Node in Aries, I'm sure you're going to be naturally driven, in your own way, and really know what you want and want to be able to follow that instinct. I have another funny story. I'm not going to take up too much of your show here, Simon, but we better move to a break. We'll have more to say about the first house, Aries, Mars, South Node, North Node, your destiny, your past, after the break. I'll be right back.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Shh! Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
iHome Audio has become the #1 brand in the iPod, iPhone accessories market. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on iHome Audio now.
What would happen if you didn't follow the established path? Would you feel scared or proud? Could you explain that helping the people of Peru improve their own community would also have an effect on your own? Would you rather make your own way or spend a lifetime saying, what if? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps. To find out more, call 1-800-424-8580 or go to peacecorps.gov.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Jimmy. Animals like Jimmy are often left behind by people fleeing hurricanes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. These abandoned animals cannot survive on their own. If you must evacuate your home, please never leave an animal behind. If you absolutely cannot take your animal with you, never leave him helplessly chained or caged. Many animals die because they cannot escape fires or rising waters. Animals need your help. Thank you.
Call PETA today, 757-622-PETA.
Okay, so you see a product you like on your favorite TV show, and you're going to write the number down. But if you're like me, you run around trying to find that pen and piece of paper, which magically disappears every time you need them. Then when you get back to the TV, they're already on to something else. Well, now there's a solution. Seen on TV products have combined all the best TV offers online and in one place. It's one-stop shopping. Just visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on the Seen on TV products. Then, who cares if that pesky pen or paper does a disappearing act?
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, we are back, and I'm here with Simon. We're looking at the Aries signature, first house, south node or north node. You're going to feel that in various ways. I gave you my example of a moon in Aries because that is a lunar aspect, right? The nodes are lunar energies, and that was how I experienced my home life growing up. And one other thing I wanted to add is that my instinct, my emotional instincts, I was very driven to play sports, and my parents didn't have an athletic bone in their body, so I really needed the freedom to be able to go do all that, and luckily that was granted. As long as I didn't skip church or something, like that was just really big to trade off. And when they collided and there was conflict, well, there was heartbreak for me, I'll tell you that. But because I couldn't play my sport, if that got in the way, that was a hard one, a hard pill for me to swallow. So anyway, back to you though.
I'm super happy to listen to your stories as well, around Aries stuff. So sometimes I feel a little bit like I'm taking over your show.
No, it's all, we're just wanting to get the good word out about this astro business. So however we can help people. Yeah.
So where can I get some gas here? I think one of the things that I really wanted to emphasize, through today's conversation and through the rest of the series is for people that are listening to this to grasp the nature of the nodes themselves. I know maybe I'm just being too Sagittarius here, but they are very profound, and they also have a very metaphysical aspect to it, the nodes and Pluto. And when you're really trying to look at the dynamics of the soul and measure the nature of its progression through time and space, these nodes play a very important aspect in how we're seeing things, And what I've come to notice with the nodes operating in our lives, so today's discussion, we're talking about South Node in Aries, South Node in the first house here right now. We're talking about what we are seeing in the past, so the conditioning patterns, what you actually can and are able to actually break in this lifetime around conditioning patterns. You might actually be exposed to a lot of violence sometimes with South Node in Aries, South Node in the first house, because again, when we take the context of patriarchy, right, or the context of the overstimulated masculine principle and humanity's need to build and suppress the emotional body, we are going to get emotions that have not been able to be correctly released. We're all going to get experiences in which there is deep suppression on an emotional nature. And when you look at the relationship between the constellation Aries, or in the zodiac Aries and Capricorn, we are looking at this interface between total freedom and the need to control, the need to cement, the need to crystallize. And there is that natural square that takes place. So Aries, even though Jeffrey spoke about it, and I agree with him completely, Aries in itself isn't inherently, angry or anger-orientated, but because of the nature of that square and also the nature of emotional suppression, it's when emotions are suppressed and they're not natural for us and we're not in a natural state, we are going to get anger. And Mars Aries, that archetype correlates to the need for release, the need for the emotions to be released in that sense. So there are also experiences in which there is a lot of anger, maybe even a lot of violence growing up, especially if there are aspects to the lunar nodes, like, for instance, Uranus square the nodes, square Mars, as an example. You could have, for instance, Pluto conjunct the South Node in the first house, and that Pluto is making a square to Mars. There are these aspects in the South Node in Aries, the South Node in the first house, in which you would have witnessed, and or could have possibly witnessed, some form of aggression. And that can also have an impact on the nature of your body in terms of how your own endocrine system has developed and responds to anger, and I'm integrating this kind of knowledge here or sharing here because I find it really fascinating that when we look at astrology and we understand the nodal axis, we're kind of giving it some names and stuff, and we're looking at these things, but there's an extra layer, there's an extra dimension around how do we actually get psychologically conditioned, morphed, shaped. The nodes are shaping us, right? And that's what's here to be captivated in this experience is the nodes shape us, and our environment is what we see. So when we begin to move into the North Node, or when we, like for instance, like myself and maybe the loads and loads of the people there that have got squares to the nodes, and things like that, we would have had experiences of our North Node, right? We would have seen realities. We would have seen people and, experiences that reflect our North Node. But generally speaking, when we're moving into our North Node, we're moving into an experience of seeing what that North Node is about. And we're integrating more of that. So, for instance, and obviously the North Node from the South Node in Aries is Libra, and we will get into that at a later stage within our series. But when we're looking at the North Node in Aries, when we're looking at the North Node in the first house, what we're looking at here is a soul that is beginning to become aware of how they are initiating new direction for themselves. Initiation is a very big word to use when we're understanding our nodal axis and when you're trying to grasp and tune into and get in touch with what the nodes represent for you in your own chart if you've got the North Node in Aries, the North Node in the first house, right? Or even if you have Mars conjunction North Node, you are looking to see the world. You are looking to have your vision of the world, your stage with the actors and the environment change in which making quick decisions is a big deal for you, right? Because part of your life is understanding the truth of reality through, or the phenomena of reality through that Aries lens. Okay, I'm going to make a decision. What does that feel like? Oh, that was a rush. Like, wow, that was amazing to be on the spot and have to make a decision, and it's just going to affect the way that we experience the day, or, there's so much of that Aries energy that actually gets the adrenaline running. You might find yourself with the North Node in Aries and the North Node in the first house, beginning to draw people into your lives that are leaders in some way, shape, or form, where you see people, and this is something that you wouldn't naturally have within yourself, unless you've got squares to the nodes, and it's not developed correctly, of course, with the squares. But when you're coming from a South Node, for instance, like in Libra, the tendency to be in relationship dynamics and have everything fair and calm and equilateral and balanced and stuff, that's great. But as you move more into your North Node, your North Node in the first house, you're seeing people take charge. You're seeing people, that have their lives set out where there is a sense of, I've got a special purpose. That's another beautiful thing that we can talk about after the break, the special purpose that comes with the Aries nodal axis, And you'll probably attract a lot of people in your life that will say, well, I've got this special purpose. I don't know what it is, but I have to go and investigate it. I have to go figure it out. I've got to go find it out. I've got to go discover it. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to share something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I feel like, too, if you've got the North Node in the first, in this context, sometimes it's like that fence-sitting thing can kick into where you're not sure which way to jump. And so it can create that pause on the fence. And so there is a need to just go after it and stop vacillating, right? When you've got the South Node in the 7th, needing to move into the first house, North Node. All right, we'll be right back for more after the break.
See straight and save. These days, everyone seems to see things differently. But from your eyes, you can see straight and save. Right now, get glasses online at 70% off at Glasses USA. There's a 100% guarantee, too, on top brand men, women, multifocal, and even prescription sunglasses. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Glasses USA, and you will see straight and save.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Have you ever wondered why you are here on this planet and what the point to all of this is? Evolutionary astrology is a natural science that allows for an understanding of the evolutionary journey of the soul from life to life. Evolutionary astrology provides a vehicle to understand prior life dynamics that have led to the reason and purpose for the life you live. It offers a depth of information and insights about each person that no other type of astrology can provide. As Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, says,
for those who wish to unveil the depth of who you actually are, I would highly recommend that you seek out qualified evolutionary astrologers such as Kristen Fontana and other graduated students of the School of Evolutionary Astrology. For those who are considering becoming an astrologer to make it a natural career, I'd recommend that you consider Jeffrey Wolf Green's School of Evolutionary Astrology, where it will assist you in answering and your clients answering a big question. Why am I here? Thanks for listening. God bless.
To get your message out, social media is great. But if you want to be picked up by major media outlets, let's face it, just using social media makes your chances, well, slim to none. If you want to improve your chances, put your message in the right place. A press release on PR Web. Affordable, easy to use, and with great customer service, there's no reason not to use PR Web. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on PR Web now and get started.
There's hundreds of fun and simple things you and your family can do to live a healthier lifestyle. Here's 20 of them. Eat less, eat slower, eat smarter, eat your fruits and veggies. Stop eating before you're full. Up your fiber, lower your calories, get off the bus early, do some gardening, do jumping jacks, take the stairs, take one, not two, take on a new sport, take a long walk home, walk instead of drive, bend, stretch, reach for the stars, climb the monkey bars, skip the fudge bars. Search We Can online to find more ways you and your family can get healthy together. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
All right, we are back. You know, there's something I was thinking about, too, on the break. And, the natural square to Capricorn you see with the first house, Mars. And oftentimes, too, we talk a bit about, like, how we, how the energy, the emotional energy, where it harbors itself or where it's concentrated when we're not allowing things to naturally flow for us. And oftentimes when there is a strong Aryan influence or first house, in this case, Mars square the nodes would be another one. There could be a tendency to get migraines. It's like all the emotional pressure just gets lodged in the head, right? Migraines and just a lot of pressure and compression there. I just did a chart for someone who had like 4 or 5 planets in Capricorn with a strong aspect to Mars. And, it's just like it's the kind of migraines where she's just throwing up. It's almost like there's no release. She's trying so hard to contain, right, the emotion. Mm-hmm. So a lot of this, of course, has to do with, what is the resistance about, and, obviously not everybody with the South Node in the first in Aries or a North Node in Aries is going to necessarily experience this. It may be parking itself somewhere else in the body, but due to the natural square to Capricorn, if there's a fear of judgment or if somebody feels that their freedom is being limited in some way or controlled by another, someone's not letting you do what you want, it can create a lot of compression and repressed energy that can have, physical, obviously, effects, as anything does when we repress what's natural or when anytime you repress anything, it becomes distorted. At some point, it will find a release, and it'll come out like a bullet, literally. So yeah, this is something to think about. It would be good too, Simon. I'd like to share just a little bit as well about how this might manifest in the different states. What does it look like?
Okay, so, I was also wanting to just say quickly, I actually have Mars square the nodes in my astrology chart, and it's also connected to Uranus, which is on the south node as well, and, understanding the nature of emotional release, through the Mars archetype when it hits the nodes, it is actually pretty difficult to do. There is a lot of pent-up emotions that have, for me personally, have needed to be healed in that way. And, for souls that have got that type of dynamic, that's something that I encourage you to actually spend a lot of attention, if you obviously have that, where you've absorbed a lot of anger, you've absorbed a lot of emotional dynamics that might not necessarily be from you, but from other people that have been angry around you, or violence or any of that, and to really go into that process of your psyche and allow yourself to get the release of emotions to come through in that way, and like to get whatever doesn't belong to you off you. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got the south node in the first house, south node in Aries, different evolutionary states. So we know that there are three main stages of evolution, right? With their subcategories. First one being consensus reality, and this is the archetype of Saturn. So to me, when I see the south node in the first house in Aries, or the south node there, in a consensus reality, the archetype of consensus is very much around control, around, not knowing your own sense of identity and just kind of following the outer authority. There's a lot of souls that can experience a lack of freedom. Okay? To me, I always notice that with the consensus type of signatures, there's always going to be some form of, like, a disassociation, because I feel that to process reality at such a deep level is not something that's available to us in the early stages. So with Aries and first house, to me, there's a lot of abandonment regarding the parental dynamics, where parents maybe have not stayed together and you've grown up with one parent struggling a lot. Again, these are just very generic, ideas that I've been exposed to and seen out there in the world. Aries archetypes, souls can get into types of work that are very, free-orientated in their approach. So I'm just trying to think off the top of my head of types of things that I've seen regarding Aries south node in the first house. Just souls that have, there's nothing really coming through at this point in time. So is there any idea, anything that you've got to share?
Well, I mean, I feel like, I'm looking at like individuated state for sure. It's like, and thinking that this is a soul that's going to need total freedom to do what it wants to do at any point in time, freedom to express its own unique ideas about things. It could be anything alternative. It can just be something a little outlandish. But, obviously in the consensus state, when I think of South Node in Aries or South Node in the first house, I do think of somebody who might want to join the military or even start a startup company, or, even being in sales would give somebody the freedom, right, to just have their own time. But in the advanced stages of evolution, or the spiritual state, I should say, it's a signature for a natural leader, somebody who wants to spearhead something, a little trailblazer of sorts, somebody who's going to be able to be in charge, like you said. In charge of anything. A movement for sure would occur in individuated as well. So even Jeff Green, he didn't have a south node, he does have a south node in the first house actually, with Mars conjunct the south node in the second. And, of course, he brought this great work to this planet here. And he also did fight on the front lines of Vietnam. So,
exactly. You see? It's like his early life environment was so much exposed to that. And he was even, he was even exposed to experiences where, in his early life. So, again, there's a lot of that, even in a spiritual state, you're still going to have extreme experiences where, but your relationship to how you're going to heal yourself is going to be different. For somebody, I think, in a consensus reality, they're just going to kind of be wild and free and, want to do their own thing and not really necessarily know how relationships work. Because you must remember the polarity point here is Aries, is Libra. So there is a process in which they begin to recognize how they operate within relationships. So to me, and I know that we're moving into polarity over here, but for souls that are in that consensus reality, they might have not long relationships. Like their relationship span could last, 6 months at max, and they could get completely bored and be like, nope, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Freedom's not working, and they, the process of commitment can be a difficult thing.
Definitely.
But there are so many different types of configurations, so it's not, this is just a kind of, I want to put it out there, a generalization of types of ways that this could work. Because, you could have somebody with the South Node in the first house, but Scorpio's ruling that South Node. And Scorpio and Aries, there's commitment and freedom. And so this is where you can experience quite a lot of abandonment as well, or loss. They can experience that type of thing.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the nature of the soul and the stage of evolution, the lessons. But inherently, they will. The South Node in the first does not want to have to commit all its time to one person. We better move to a break, though, and we'll be right back with Simon Forster.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Let's face it, we're all looking for great products at a great price because it's just a good way to shop and get the most value for your money. Well, here at HealthyLife.net Radio, we do that too. We do it for you. You won't find advertisers or affiliates that are not in line with our vision of bringing people a positive, happy, and healthy life. Although many advertisers come to us, few are chosen. Our advertisers are handpicked and specially selected to support our vision and give you great products at a fair price. So the next time you're looking to buy a product or a service, check out HealthyLife.net's advertiser page. Click through our advertiser partner sites. You'll be glad you did. And so will we, because you'll help support HealthyLife.net, and we can keep our positive programs coming to you 24/7. That's HealthyLife.net's advertiser page. Do us a favor. Visit soon and often. It's a win-win situation for you, our advertisers, and HealthyLife.net. Just do it. HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Want help quitting smoking? Try Premium e-cigarettes. They have an outstanding range of nicotine alternative products. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on Premium e-cigarettes.
The home for high-quality video is Vimeo. People who love videos love Vimeo. It's the community for indie filmmakers, popular entertainers, music videos. Even the White House posts high-def versions of its broadcasts on Vimeo. You can even upload and share your videos. So much to see, so little time. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Vimeo and get started seeing and sharing great entertainment now.
Take one step towards Spirit. Spirit will take 1,000 steps toward you. Come explore the world of evolutionary astrology with Rose Marcus. Rose Marcus is well known for her heartfelt passion, sensitive counseling skills, and dedication to helping others. You can now study evolutionary astrology from the comfort of your own home through live teleconference classes with Rose. To register for the next Evolutionary Astrology School, to read your in-depth monthly horoscope, or to book a private astrology with Rose Marcus, please visit her website, www.rosemarcus.com.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, we are back, and I'm with Simon. We are trying to get it all in an hour, just discussing as much as we can about this first house, and obviously someone with South Node in the 7th and a North Node in the 1st could learn a lot from somebody with the South Node in the first. I mean, where they become mirrors of each other. I can tell you my daughter has South Node in the 7th, and I have an Aries moon, so of course I'm her mom, and she's learning all the Aries stuff from me, let me tell you, and giving her a little freedom, a little piece of freedom is heaven in her hands. She didn't realize how much she'd love it, just offering that to her. So whether it's, getting her driver's license and taking off with the car in my whore. So anyway.
I love how you shared that, because by sharing that, you really showed everybody that's listening and what I was talking about earlier as well, that you said that she had the South Node in the 7th house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here she incarnates into a family in which mom plays the role of Moon Aries, right? And her nodal axis, North Node, is looking to the 1st house, is looking to Aries. So she sees a mom. She naturally is in an environment in which she sees the energy manifesting itself through ways, and you're also, through your own ideologies and feelings towards things, reflecting to her what that's about. And you just shared it right now, and that's what the nodes are about. It's like how we're actually evolving ourselves through this thing, and maybe, to me, I'm creating more drama than what it really is, but it just is really fascinating to see the depths here, because it's not, to me, the nodes and Pluto are very metaphysical. They're very, you really have to look at your life to notice the themes and how your soul's evolving. And when you see it, it looks magical.
Yeah.
So, like, with the North Node in the 1st house or in Aries, like, you would be encouraging her. You'd be like, yeah, here's a car. Let me get you your driver's license as soon as possible.
Right.
And you can experience, like, emotionally, evolve through the emotional body, experience freedom so that you know what that's like, so that you are able to see what your North Node's about.
It's cool, too, because, with that South Node in the 7th, and it's in Capricorn, so, of course, she just wants to do the right thing and wants the parents' approval, etc. And she'll say, Mom, what should I do? Mom, what should I do? That's such a 7th house thing. What should I do? What should I do? Not knowing what to do in whatever situation it might be. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Tell me. Don't think about it. Just tell me. What do you feel you want to do? What's the first thing that you feel? That's my moon in Aries, because that's how I work in my world, and that's where her soul is needing to learn to follow her instinct without worrying about what everybody else is going to think or do or getting. I don't want her to make choices based on obligation, or if it's okay with someone else. I want her, whether it's, should I go out with these friends or do that? I mean, I want all of that to go away for her. I want her to be able to follow her own wind, so to speak. And it's not in excluding other people. This just means that if you have a South Node in the 7th and a North Node in the 1st, that you have been really giving to others what they need to a fault in many cases. You've been sacrificing a lot of your own needs for the other person. And it is a life where you just need to strike out on your own and make sure that your needs are met. I mean, you've got to see the whole chart, but strong 7th house, there can be very much about bending to other people's will and desire, and now it's your time to actualize your own. So,
very beautifully said, like, time to actualize your own. That's what the North Node in Aries, North Node and 1st house, is so much about. That
right, independent of another person. Yeah, independent of somebody else's wants or wishes. It must be your own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So when you're coming from the South Node over there, you're being exposed to environments in which you were very much doing that, whereas with the North Node being there, you're coming from an environment in which that has not been developed, and so this is a growth process for you, and it's true. It's like, okay, so how do I take charge? And I love the way that you expressed to her how to make decisions, because you can hear it. You can hear the karmic dynamics play out there. Okay, Mom, what should I do? South Node in the 10th house. And, she's young, so obviously there's an element there, but you want to encourage her to feel, how do I feel in the moment? How do I feel right now? Okay, yep, this is how I'm going to make this decision. And Aries is very much impulsive in that way, so there's an essence of courage that must be cultivated.
Right, and if you're a girl, if you're a woman, I mean, she's not super young anymore, she's almost 17, but if you're a woman in the world and you do have a South Node in the 7th or a South Node in Libra, I mean, most likely, you've, in my daughter's case, South Node in Capricorn in the 7th, she's been very much, on maybe somebody's trophy wife in another life, or, in arranged marriages perhaps, or, definitely in relationships that they were more out of obligation, not really out of love, and so she was catering to that connection. And for her, not because she's weak, but, for her own soul's reasons, it's just a whole another story. But I would say to you, if you have a strong dynamic like that, like I said, it's important to make choices independent of what somebody else wants or wishes or cares about, because for so long your wishes and wants were taking a back seat. And maybe you made that choice. It could have been for survival reasons, and maybe the partner makes the living and you got to stay home and take care of the kids or what have you. But it's important not to feel guilty also with that natural square to Capricorn, and in this case the South Node in Capricorn in the 7th, feeling guilty for having these wishes or desires if they're not in alignment with what somebody else wants. Because when you start to make choices based on what other people want, then then there creates a lot of resentment. And then that resentment creates more repressed emotion around that, and it can come out distorted. You can get angry around that. But it was your own choices that created that in the first place. At the end of the day, we all have a choice in any situation, even at times when we feel like we don't. We really do. And that's what the North Node in the 1st is about, is taking charge of your choices, full charge of your choices. Now, obviously, she still lives in this house, and, we're parents. We're going to make sure that those choices keep her safe and all those other things. But, it's important to really empower a client, I mean, this is my favorite type of client to have, obviously, because I'm just hardwired in this way. No hesitation. With an Aries moon, I just, I can feel how essential it is for somebody's wings to open, for someone to flower and butterfly in that way, how empowering it can be for somebody to leave the past behind, and the freedom and the liberation that they experience. Freedom is an Aries thing, the freedom to be, like you said earlier, giving her the keys. Have fun, knowing that at home biting my nails, that she's okay. So,
brilliant! That's such a Aries thing to do as well.
Exactly, it's 2 steps forward, freeze. What did I just do? I'm going to step back here.
Exactly. What did I just do? Environmental feedback. Okay, that wasn't a good idea. Adjustment occurring.
Well, at the end of the day, that's what I would want, right? So if you're a parent and you're already carrying a lot of that energy, you have to think to yourself, what would I want at this age? What would be important to me if I had this signature, and I do. And so I know it. It's just palpable, that energy, and I want to give her that. And so, of course, that's why she chose me as a mom, to help her cultivate her own independence and her sense of freedom, own inner fire, to go after that special sense of destiny. Yes, it's an Aryan fire, I should say, that fire trinity. Aries, Leo, and Sag is all about that, coming in with a special sense of purpose, place, and destiny. All right, so we burned through that Aries style, I should say, burned through that our Aries style. And we'll be back with Simon next month looking at the 2nd house. We'll try and meter out the time with the South Node and the North Node a little better. We're just finding our feet here again and figuring out how we want to best lay this out for you all. But thank you so much, Simon. Taurus, 2nd house nodes next month. And we will be back here next week with Rose Marcus. Happy summer solstice and happy new moon this coming Friday night in the west. Namaste.